Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Ashtadhara Shuddha Srimad Bhakti Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Ashtadhara Shuddha Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, The Science of God, Chapter 12, The Perfect Society, 4 Spiritual Classes, Text 16. Evam Vido Brahmachari Vanaprasto Yatir Vihi Charan Vidita Vijnānaha Param Pramadi Gacchati Evam Vido Brahmachari Vanaprasto Yatirgrihi Charan Vidita Vijnānaha Param Pramadi Gacchati Evam Vido Brahmachari Vanaprasto Yatirgrihi Charan Vidita Vijnāna Param Brahmadi Gacchati Evam Vido Brahmachari Vanaprasto Yatirgrihi Charan Vidita Vijnāna Param Brahmadi Gacchati Evam Vido Brahmachari Evam vidaha. In this way, brahmachari, whether one is a brahmachari, vanaprastaha, or one is in the vanaprastha ashram, yatihi, or in the sannyasa ashram, grihi, or in the grihastha ashram, charan, by practice of self-realization and understanding of the absolute truth. Vidita vijñānaha, fully conversant with the science of the absolute truth. Param, the supreme. Brahma, the absolute truth. Adhigacchati, one can understand. Translation. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. By practicing in this way, whether one be in the brahmachari ashram, grihastha ashram, vanaprastha ashram, or sannyasa ashram, one must always realize the all-pervading presence of the Supreme Lord. For in this way, it is possible to understand the absolute truth. Purport. This is the beginning of self-realization. One must first understand how Brahman is present everywhere and how he is acting. This education is called brahma-jijñāsā and is the real concern of human life. Without such knowledge, one cannot claim to be a human being. Rather, he remains in the animal kingdom. As it is said, "Saeva go-kharaḥ." Such knowledge, without such knowledge, one is no better than a cow or an ass. Om Jnanativadandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshulanamaditamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Bhakam Kadidavachalam Pangam Langate Grim Yakripatamaham Bande Shri Gurandiditaranam Bancha Kapadirvishta Kripasanubhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Translation again. By practicing in this way, whether one be in the brahmachari ashram, grihastha ashram, vanaprastha ashram, or sannyasa ashram, one must always realize the all-pervading presence of the Supreme Lord. For in this way, it is possible to understand absolute truth. Whatever ashram one may be in, as this verse is mentioning, the goal is the same, to realize Krishna. Whatever human form of life one may be in, of course there's not, I guess they said there's, 400,000 different. The goal is the same, to realize Krishna. The goal is self-realization, God realization. And without this particular knowledge of God, or without this knowledge of the Vedas, or spiritual knowledge in general, any authentic spiritual knowledge, one is no better than a animal. Srila Prabhupada, he was in India one time, and he asked this fellow, he asked him, "What do you do in the morning?" And the man said, "Well, what I do is I get up and I drink some coffee and I read the newspaper, I wash my face, and then I go to work." And then Srila Prabhupada asked him, he said, what is the difference between you and a hog? So the man was thinking to himself, and he said, "Yeah, what is the difference? That's true." And he became a devotee. He became a good devotee. So he realized what Srila Prabhupada was saying. Of course, not everybody realizes that. Sometimes people read in Srila Prabhupada's books these types of statements that if you're not interested, or if you're not engaged in God consciousness, you're no better than an animal, and sometimes people become offended by that. That's another reaction. But whatever the case is, the goal is the same, Krishna Prem. All right, so we'll go to the next verse. "O king, I shall now describe the qualifications for a vanaprastha, one who has retired from family life. By ritually following the rules and regulations for the vanaprastha, one can easily be elevated to the upper planetary system, known as Maharloka. A person in vanaprastha ashram should not eat grains grown by tilling of the fields. He should also not eat grains that have grown without tilling of the field but are not fully ripe. Nor should a vanaprastha eat grains cooked in fire. Indeed, he should eat only fruit ripened by the sunshine. A vanaprastha should prepare cakes to be offered and sacrificed from fruits and grains grown naturally in the forest. When he obtains some new grains, he should give up his old stock of grains. A vanaprastha should prepare a thatched cottage or take shelter of a cave in a mountain only to keep the sacred fire. But he should personally practice enduring snowfall, wind, fire, rain, and the shining of the sun. The vanaprastha should wear matted locks of hair on his head and let his body hair, nails, and mustache grow. If you never cut it, how long do your nails become? How long? Yeah, they start curling. If you look at the Guinness World Book of Records, you'll see people with long nails. What did you achieve in your life? I managed to be the person in history who had the longest nails. World record. He should not cleanse his body of dirt. He should keep a water pot, deerskin, and rod where the bark of a tree as a covering, and use garments colored like fire. Being very thoughtful, vanaprastha should remain in the forest for 12 years, 8 years, 4 years, 2 years, or at least 1 year. He should behave in such a way that he will not be disturbed or troubled by too much austerity. Seems pretty austere though, right? Said not too much austerity, but it seems pretty austere. When because of disease or old age one is unable to perform his prescribed duties for advancement in spiritual consciousness or study of the Vedas, he should practice fasting, not taking any food. So this particular verse, when because of old age or disease one is unable to perform his prescribed duties for advancement in spiritual consciousness. So there's a misconception people have that I'll wait to become God conscious in my old age. So it's a common misconception, and it's a really irrational one, because as this particular verse is saying, in old age, one has a hard time. The faculties of the body do not work as they used to, or sometimes they're breaking down completely, or eventually they break down completely. And same with the mind. So the intelligent thing to do is to try to put money into our bank account early on in life, the spiritual bank account, early on in life, and not wait till later. Just like if you were to ask somebody, do you think it's a good idea that you put money in your bank account early in your life so you save, you have some plan, retirement plan or whatever? Or do you think you should start saving in your old age? What will they say? Of course. I mean, but when they think of spiritual life, they don't think about that at all. They think, oh, I'll just wait till I'm old. Then I'll start putting money in the bank, spiritual credits. But it doesn't work like that. He should properly place the fire, text 24, he should properly place the fire element in his own self, and in this way give up bodily affinity, by which one thinks the body to be oneself or one's own. One should gradually merge the material body into the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, and sky. Purport. The body is an effect of a cause, namely the 5 material elements, earth, water, fire, air, and sky. In other words, one should know perfectly well that the material body is nothing but a combination of the 5 elements. This knowledge constitutes merging of the material body in the 5 elements. Merging into Brahman in perfect knowledge means understanding perfectly that one is not the body, but a spiritual soul. So first one has to at least theoretically understand they're not their body. And then by the practice of Krishna consciousness and purifying the consciousness, one will realize they're not their body, which is very wonderful because, well, the body and the mind, the subtle body as well, they'll realize they're not their subtle body, which is wonderful for many reasons. One reason is that by understanding that one is not their body, they understand, of course, further than that, they understand that there's a supreme soul, that they're a soul and there's a supreme soul. And they don't base the goals of their life on the material body, but they base the goals of their life on the soul. So they are trying for self-realization, for God realization, which is wonderful because over time, again, the body is not a perfect tool for happiness. It is imperfect in many ways. There's many animals that are much more advanced in relation to having capacity to enjoy their body. Human actually is very limited. So by understanding that one's a soul, they will be able to, and that there's a supreme soul, and after engaging in the process of bhakti yoga, they'll be able to experience that brahma-saukyam tvanantam, that unlimited spiritual happiness. And there will also be no fear of old age, no fear of death, because they're not identifying with the body. All right, text 25. A sober, self-realized person who has full knowledge should merge the various parts of the body in their original sources. The holes in the body are caused by the sky. The process of breathing is caused by the air. The heat of the body is caused by fire and semen. Blood and mucus are caused by water. The hard substances like skin, muscle, and bone are caused by earth. In this way, all the constituents of the body are caused by various elements, and they should be merged into those elements. Chad, do you think you could open the door a little bit, please? Purport. To be self-realized, one must understand the original sources of the various elements of the body. The body is a combination of skin, bone, muscle, blood, semen, urine, stool, heat, breath, and so on, which all come from earth, water, fire, air, and sky. One must be well conversant with the sources of all the bodily constituents. Then one becomes a self-realized person, or Atmavan, one who knows the self. All right, next one. Therefore, the object of speech, along with the sense of speech, the tongue, should be bestowed upon fire. Craftsmanship and the two hands should be given to the demigod Indra. The power of movement in the legs should be given to Lord Vishnu. Sensual pleasure, along with the genitals, should be bestowed upon Prajapati. The rectum, with the power of evacuation, should be bestowed in its proper place unto Mrityu. The oral instrument, along with the sound vibration, should be given to the deities presiding over the directions. The instrument of touch, along with the sense objects of touch, should be given to Vayu. Form, with the power of sight, should be bestowed upon the sun. The tongue, along with the demigod Varuna, should be bestowed upon water. And the power of smell, along with the two Ashwini Kumara demigods, should be bestowed upon the earth. Do you want more explanation? Well, Prabhupada doesn't give it, so. The mind, along with with all material desires, should be merged in the moon demigod. All the subject matters of intelligence, along with intelligence itself, should be placed in Lord Brahma. False ego, which is under the influence of the material modes of nature, and which induces one to think, I am this body, and everything connected with this body is mine, should be merged along with the material activities and Rudra, the predominating deity of false ego. Material consciousness, along with the goal of thought, should be merged in the individual living being, and the demigods acting under the modes of material nature should be merged along with the perverted living being into the Supreme Being. The earth should be merged in water, water in the brightness of the sun, this brightness into the air into the sky into the false ego into the total material energy into the unmanifested ingredients, the Pradhan feature of the material energy, and at last the ingredient feature of material manifestation into the supersoul. All right. Text 31. When all the material designations have thus merged into their respective material elements, the living beings, who are all ultimately completely spiritual, being one in quality with the Supreme Being, should cease from material existence, as flames cease when the wood in which they are burning is consumed. When the material body is returned to its various material elements, only the spiritual being remains. This spiritual being is Brahman and is equal in quality with Para-Brahman. That's the end of the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 7th canto, 12th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Perfect Society for Spiritual Classes. All right, does anybody have any question or comment?
7:16 through 7:12:16 to 7:12:30.
Mm-hmm. You wrote the verse today?
Oh yeah, I'm just going to go back later and reread it.
Oh, okay. Nice. That's good. That's a good habit to get into. Any online members? Okay, you can pass the mic to Sankarshan Das, Brahmachari.
In text 26, 28, you're talking about how the different limbs of the body should be offered to different demigods, but why should the legs be given to Lord Vishnu? It's like, and I guess in society, it's like, that's like the sutra. It's like,
well, I mean, everything should be given to Vishnu. Everything should be. The Bhagavatam says that the eyes that do not that do not see the forms of the personality of Godhead are considered to be like eyes on the plume of a peacock. Legs that are not used to walk to the temples of Lord Vishnu, of Krishna, are considered to be like tree trunks. Ears that do not hear about Krishna, the glories of Krishna, are to be like, what is it? I think the ear holes of a snake. Is it? Yeah. Okay. The ear holes of a snake. It goes on like that. So the idea is that without engaging one's body and mind in the service of Krishna, one's considered just be as good as dead, pretty much. A dead man walking, or a dead woman walking, sleeping, or you see the movies like zombie sleeping, sleepwalking. So the idea is that just as Ambarish Maharaj, he demonstrated that he engaged the eyes in seeing the personality, the forms of Krishna. He engaged his nose in smelling the tulsi leaves offered to Krishna, the flowers offered to Krishna. He engaged his tongue in tasting food offered to Krishna. He engaged his hands in sweeping the temple, his legs in going to the temple, his ears in hearing the pastimes of Krishna. So he engaged everything in the service of Krishna, and in this way he's a pure devotee. So the bhakti yoga principle, or what we're following, what Srila Prabhupada taught, is that we should engage everything. But if you look at it in terms of legs, like in terms of the Shudras being like the legs of society, it's a bit of a different analogy. that one and this one. So, yeah. Okay, Javita Prabhu. I talk. Got the mic right there. There's one right next to you.
I don't know. I'm just puzzled here. We go through this whole list, and you're now merging all your constituents, and you gradually merge the material body into the 5 elements, and then in detail, we have this whole thing going on. But I thought that as devotees, that isn't it incumbent just simply to use the body in the service of the Lord, and that's enough? You don't have to consciously, when you're alive, I mean, merge your bones into the earth or something. I'm not sure how this is supposed to work, or is it really meant for us? I mean, is anyone actually practicing this as we walk along in our lives?
I don't think so.
The holes in the body are caused by the sky, the process of breathing is caused by the air, the heat of the body. In this way, all the conditions of the body are caused, and now we have to merge them in there. Anyway, I'm reminded of a verse in the 11th canto by the Nava-yogendras. And there's this, it starts like Kayena Vacham Manasendriya Va Buddhyapana Vanusa Sabhavat Karoti Yadyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayanayati Samarpayetat. Whatever you do with your body, with your words, with your mind, with your intelligence, all the different elements, you should think. You should actually be aware, and it should actually be true. Oh, this is an offering to Narayan. Like that. And then you're in the proper spot in the space. If we follow that verse, do we have to also follow these verses? Because I don't.
Well, Srila Prabhupada, because Srila Prabhupada was basing his commentaries on the commentaries of the previous acharyas. Of course, Srila Prabhupada did emphasize certain things more than previous acharyas, like because there was a whole different dynamic going on in society. Like, for example, if you're maybe preaching to pious Hindus, for example, like a modern day example, versus preaching to people who know nothing of Vedic culture or etiquette or knowledge or anything. There's a difference in how you'll speak with them. So Srila Prabhupada understanding from coming to America and accepting disciples and observing America, he understood what he needed to emphasize, which Srila Prabhupada emphasized a lot, this idea of accepting a guru and really following a guru, which maybe you could say that in previous times it was more understood. Like people understood, okay, I need to accept a guru as part of the culture, part of the whole. Or the different pitfalls Srila Prabhupada emphasized about the 4 principles and so on. He emphasized that a lot. Whereas maybe previously they didn't emphasize that so much because people naturally understood. So if you look at these verses, Srila Prabhupada doesn't add a purport to them or explain them. So we could see that, I mean, maybe other previous acharyas did, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur or someone, but generally if they did, Srila Prabhupada would comment on them as well. So yeah, with this particular process, which seems very complicated, we hear about this similarly of Dhritarashtra and his process. Yeah, when he leaves home, Dhritarashtra leaves home. After Vidura gets on his case, and then he leaves home and he engages in this whole process in the forest. But it's a similar process. which, complicated process. But our process is just to engage everything in Krishna's service and to be Krishna conscious by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra.
Here it says, thereafter the object of speech, along with the sense of speech, the tongue, should be bestowed upon fire. Well, how about if you're just always chanting Hare Krishna and always glorifying Krishna? Is that enough? Is that good enough?
Of course, that's enough.
Power of movement in the legs should be given to Lord Vishnu. Okay, well that's good. But it seems like all the other stuff also should be given to Lord Vishnu. Anyway, I'm sure there's a way. Maybe I'll read, maybe Vishwanath Chakravarti has given some...
Well, also when we read about the austerities of a vanaprastha or a sannyasi, we could accept these in principle. The idea is that, okay, we need to have some method to detach ourselves or become more austere and so on. So, but yeah, we accept them in principles. The details like keeping matted hair and not cutting our nails and stuff like that. Yes, Chad?
Hare Krishna. I was just wondering, would it also depend on the yuga?
Yeah.
Whether or not?
Yeah, there's different processes for different yugas. So we're in Kali Yuga, last time I checked. And the process is Harinama. Harinama, Harinama, Harinama Eva Kevalam. To take shelter of the holy names of Krishna. That's the process.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. I have one more question.
Okay.
Can you tell me the animal the similarities between the sight, smell, and taste? You covered hearing and do you remember those other ones?
Oh, like in terms of it mentions hearing, it mentions legs, it mentions eyes.
Smell and taste.
It mentions, like, for example, it says that your turban that you're wearing, it's a cultural thing. The turban the heavy turban you're wearing, if you don't bow down to Krishna, that turban is just sinking you in the ocean of material existence. Or they also mention bangles. If your hands, with your bangles on, if you don't use those to engage in Krishna service, and it's also just entangling. And so it goes through different examples like that. That's in the first canto. Yeah, first canto. Yeah, beautiful verses. And I think what I read it on Radhastami, that those who have not smelled the tulsi leaves offered to the lotus feet of Krishna, or who have not not obtained the dust from the feet of a pure devotee, they're considered to be dead, although breathing. So it's a beautiful verses in the first canto. You could look them up.
A comment.
Okay.
Several times, I think we talk about smelling the tulsi leaves on the lotus feet of Vishnu, and the most famous is when the 4 Kumars turn into devotees, because Narayan comes close and they smell like that. I think we can take it to be the manjaris, the tulsi manjaris, which if you've had smelled, they have a distinctive smell.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe because I'm getting old, I can't smell the tulsi leaves. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, sometimes I don't know. I don't know if you consider because sometimes what they do, as you know, but they put the tulsi leaf on the deities, but with the tulsi leaf, there's also the manjaris connected. So it's like a connected. But of course, if you just take the leaf itself, then it tends not to be. Most of the time we do that. Yes.
Thank you, Balaram Prabhu. So I'm reaching that age where, I'm going to transition ashrams, My wife, my kids are grown. I'm going to transition to the Vanaprastha ashram.
You don't have any kids going on.
And, I can't live in the forest, What would you recommend me doing?
Well, you could go to Vrindavan. You go to Vrindavan, that's the forest of Vrindavan, Dham. But the thing about that, there's different ways persons could go about retiring or trying to engage more in devotional service. One is, going to Mayapur, going to Vrindavan. That's acceptable. Simultaneously, Srila Prabhupada put a lot of emphasis on trying to extend oneself in the West or in places without Krishna consciousness. So in other words, to use their talents or their abilities in Krishna service for the propagation of Krishna consciousness is very important. Jayadvaita Swami, His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami, who's writing a book on Vanaprastha, on the Vanaprastha ashram. He's in the process of writing it. This has been one of his big pushes in the society and his traveling around. He's always encouraging the older householders to take Vanaprastha. Sometimes he does, which I appreciate. It's a good point he's making. But I asked him one time about preaching in America and the future of America, and he said, I have hope in the future of America. And he said he has some hope, and he has hope in the younger generation of devotees being born in devotee families in America, that they'll take it up and help in different ways. And he said he also has faith in Vanaprastha devotees, older devotees who have been devotees for many years, engaging more directly in the service by all different types of things, kirtan, cooking, class giving, whatever it is. So I think you should just do that.
Just be a Vanaprastha?
You want to be a Vanaprastha? Van ashram? That's acceptable. You could go around in a responsible way and preach throughout America in your van. It's okay.
Where are the Vanaprastha ashrams other than India?
Well, I mean, when you say Money B is asking, where are the Vanaprastha ashrams other than India? See, many times it's not necessarily that first of all, when you talk about Varna ashram and brahmacharis and grihastas and vanaprasthas and sannyasis, over time it has completely morphed. Like what a sannyasi was 500 years ago versus what a sannyasi is now. It's just like night and day. Not that you can't be an authentic sannyasi in the modern times, but it's just different, like vastly different. It's the same with a vanaprastha. Just like we're reading here, how vanaprasthas used to live. Our vanaprasthas in ISKCON do not live like this, and they never will. Similarly, how our sannyasis in ISKCON, they don't live how the traditional sannyasis 500 years ago lived, in the sense of, okay, now I've taken sannyas and I'm just going to walk throughout India. Tamal Krishna Goswami brought that up to Srila Prabhupada, because Tamal Krishna Goswami, he was married for a very short time, and he was pushing Srila Prabhupada, please Prabhupada, let me take sannyas. And then he asked the other devotees, Prabhupada said, what do you think? He asked the other devotees, and other men, of course, were saying yes, and the other women, because they were feeling compassion for his wife, just recently married. And so anyways, Prabhupada agreed. He agreed. And then Srila Prabhupada told Tamal Krishna Goswami, okay, get your danda ready and your cloth ready. And then Tamal Krishna Goswami said, I already have it ready. He had it ready already. So then Prabhupada gave him sannyas. And then after sannyas, Srila Prabhupada said to him, or he said to Tamal Krishna Goswami said to Prabhupada, all right, Srila Prabhupada, I'm going to leave now, and I'm thinking just as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu walked all over India, I'm going to walk. And Prabhupada said, very good idea, just walk. And Prabhupada was serious. But then some time came by, and then Srila Prabhupada called him back, and he said, I don't think this is so practical, you walking. I think you should, drive around, fly around, and you should take a brahmachari with you. So, and after he was taking sannyas and going to one big preaching program, Tamal Krishna Goswami came back to Srila Prabhupada to give him a report about it. And then Srila Prabhupada brought him close, and he embraced him, and Srila Prabhupada put one side of his face on one side of the shoulder, and then another side on the other side of the shoulder, and then he looked at him and he said, because sannyasis get this sannyas mantra, and he said, take this sannyas mantra and preach, travel all over. So it was very wonderful. But so how sannyasis lived then and how they live now is different. So similarly with the vanaprasthas, they live differently. It doesn't mean that a vanaprastha has to move into a temple necessarily, or it doesn't mean that a vanaprastha has to live on a farm necessarily. A vanaprastha may have their own apartment nearby, and if they've somehow or other were able to save some funds and they got some retirement, they could live as a vanaprastha, means as a detached person, and they could engage fully in the temple service if they have such a wonderful opportunity. Means if they've managed to raise that money and have funds and all that. And that's the principle, seems. Okay, so does anyone have last? No. All right, we'll stop there. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So tomorrow we'll start a new chapter, chapter 13. Mukunda Charan Prabhu will speak on the chapter 13, the behavior of a perfect person. So